If you're thinking about moving to the GTA, well, today we're going to be breaking down one of the most common questions I get from buyers making that move. Which area is my money going to take me the furthest? That's right. Today we're going to be comparing what $700,000 gets you in Toronto versus what it gets you in Hamilton. And the difference is pretty stark, as you can imagine. Same budget, two very different lifestyles. So without further ado, let's dive in and see where your money really gets you in 2025, all right? So hopping over to our trusty map here on Realtor, we got the beautiful city of Toronto in all its glory. And let's jump in right away and see what kind of stuff you can get in Toronto for $700,000. Now, this one we got listed $699, 600 to 699 square feet. And this is typically where you're going to find within that budget in Toronto. And, you know, as of now, prices already have come down quite a bit. I'm sure that's, you know, if you've been paying attention, that's going to come as no surprise to you. But it's definitely become a lot, you know, I don't want to say more affordable, more reasonable than what it was, you know, in that boom to buy a home. You got a lot more options right now. It is more of a buyer's market, which means if you're a buyer, you have a little more leverage these days, and you have a little more power, a little more control. You can, you know, in negotiations, you're going to have a lot of leverage, especially on homes that have been sitting on the market a while, which is what we're seeing a lot of these days. A lot of stagnant homes, stagnant listings. So always keep in mind, if a home has been sitting on the market, the listed price, you can probably negotiate that down. Little tip from the people for the people. So yeah, 306 435 Richmond Street West. You know, it looks like a really nice condo. But here's the thing. So yeah, you know, if you have to move into the area for work or whatever, if you want to just want a Southern Ontario lifestyle and you got to commute maybe a couple times a week, 3-4 times a week, and you got kids, right? So if you're moving in the area and you have kids, or you're planning to have kids, you and your partner are trying to think of, you know, your future plans, maybe a condo isn't going to work for you, right? Maybe you need that space. Maybe you want a yard, stuff like that. Well, if we jump over to the map again, but this time we're going to be looking at Hamilton. If you don't know, just down the QEW here, Toronto to the north, Hamilton down here via the QEW. Well, here's Hamilton, and your money's going to take you a lot further in Hamilton. And as we already discussed, it's a very different lifestyle. So in certain parts of Hamilton, you'll be able to get a nice house for this price. You know, detached home, a nice lot, nice backyard, mature neighborhood. This one looks pretty nice already. And this is Balmoral, 197 Balmoral Drive. And that's just, oh yeah. So East End, right under the escarpment, which is a great area, I think so. And you got a nice two-story home here. Looks like it's in great shape. Obviously, the People's Realtor always recommends to take a look yourself, because we all know how deceiving real estate photographers can be. They're magicians, let me tell you. Anyways, this looks like a nice little home, nice starter home. 197 Balmoral Avenue, 1,800 square feet. You're getting a nice lot. Let's take a look at that backyard really quickly, because I know, you know, some of these lots have great backyards, and this looks like a very nice private backyard, very grown in, very mature, which is a stark difference than, you know, the condo in the sky. Now, don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with the condo living. You know, you're right in it. You're in the city. If you're a single person or you're with your partner and you enjoy the lifestyle, it's great. But for a lot of people, they want that space. They want to be able to plant their seed and thrive, right? Okay, so moving on. Let's take another look at Toronto. So yes, we got another condo here. Condo in the sky, 700 to 799 square feet. And for $700,000, got that white asylum look to it. Not bad though. Pretty good. Edward Street. So yeah, if you're a professional, young professional, you're not going to be spending much time at home anyways. If you like to be out in the lifestyle, obviously Toronto versus Hamilton, it's, you know, you got more nightlife, community events, stuff like that. You know, it's one of the biggest cities in North America. I think, you know, bigger than Chicago, and just right after LA and New York and LA. Not counting Mexico City though, because that's basically its own country. But anyways, so yeah, another $700,000 condo. Well, let's take another look in Hamilton. 41 Cameron Avenue South, which is just kind of in that same East End neighborhood. You got a nice mature home that's been, well, looks like it's been well maintained and renovated, but obviously you got to get it in there and see for yourself. Jumping into another listing here, 60 Ivy Place, which is nestled so nicely on the mountain here. East Mountain, close to the Mountain Brow Boulevard. So it's a nice neighborhood to walk. It's pretty quiet because you don't get a lot of through traffic in this specific part of the mountain, I would say. It's more concentrated around these parts. You know, you got Lime Ridge Mall over here, and Upper James is the next exit, which is a very busy kind of commercial area. But over here, beautiful, quiet. You get a nice big lot, nice big backyard. Look at that. You got a beautiful garden. I can picture it. I'm picturing it already. You got the tomatoes over there. Maybe you got a fig tree over here. But yeah, really nice. Looks like it's well maintained. Maybe needs some updating on the inside. But personally, I like the colors. I like a nice colorful house. Everyone wants the gray, the millennial gray and the white and the just monotone. But the People's Realtors likes a little color in his homes. So yeah, we got a nice little almost kitchen downstairs. Finished basement, $700,000 living on the mountain. Another great thing about the mountain, you know, you got pretty great access to get anywhere in Hamilton in this spot. As you can see, you got the Lincoln Alexander Parkway, which leads you into the Red Hill, which travels down to the QEW and takes you to up here to Toronto, Mississauga, or you go to Buffalo that way if you want to go see a Bills game, or Toronto for a Blue Jays game. Go Blue Jays. The World Series, as of this filming, Game 3 just happened last night. Anyways, moving on. Another condo in Toronto. All right, too many condos. Although this looks beautiful. You got a nice pool. You know, you always see. There's always so many pictures of the lobby. But where are you living? You want to see where you're going to be living, right? So there's living space. Not looking great. The lighting in these photos is atrocious. Yeah. Another thing, people, if you're thinking about listing your condo, don't go with someone who's just going to take a shortcut and take cell phone pictures. That's not good for anyone. It's not good for people looking at the house. It's not good certainly not good for you. You got to make sure you go with professionals, and that's why the People's Realtor always gives you the most professional service available. Just call me, text me, email me. My number's below, and we're going to set you up exactly what you want to be, or, talk about how you want to pivot your move into the GTA and beyond. Now, zeroing in on some houses, detached houses for $700,000. As you can see, in all of Toronto, not much out there. So just let's take a quick look at one. Let's see what we got here. Price to sell. Okay, so it's this little guy sandwiched in here. Okay, just two pictures. So whenever you see a listing that's just two pictures or one picture and it's just the outside, it's what we in the biz call an investor's special or handyman special. Okay, so that's one $700,000 house. It sandwiched in two other houses, and the interior is probably needs a full gut, as they say. Let's look at another one. $700,000 house here. Okay, so it's a semi-detached. I thought we were looking at detaches, but that's all right. Detached is all right. Ooh, is that turf? We got turf on the front lawn. I mean, it doesn't look too bad, but I wanted to see some detached homes here. Okay, this is a little further out to the east here. But this looks pretty nice. $699. And you know what we say when there's only 5 photos? We call that the handyman special. So if you're looking to move to Toronto and you got your family and you got $700,000, your options are quite limited if you want a nice detached home with space to grow. But yeah, keep that in mind. There's other places. I know we're talking mainly about Hamilton, but obviously Toronto, there's so many markets around it, some tertiary markets. Mississauga's pretty expensive, pricey too these days. You go further down the QEW, you got Oakville, which is some of the highest real estate in the country. Burlington's a great suburb, still pretty pricey, and then you hit Hamilton. So it's pretty pricey all the way till you hit Hamilton, and then you keep going east, and all these little neighborhoods or little towns outside of Hamilton have been seeing a ton of development these days. Talking about Grimsby over here, Beamsville, and the thing about these communities is they're pretty good because they are along the QEW. So if you do have to commute, you can hop on the QEW easily. Or Federation Go train just kind of started service in Stony Creek. So definitely a good thing to keep in mind. Now, obviously, we're talking about housing values in two very different places. So I know these homes might seem like, on the one hand, Hamilton does have a lot of great homes, but there is a lot of flaws to it too. I'm sure if you don't know much about Hamilton, but maybe you've heard about the reputation, it doesn't have the best reputation, right? Largely a steel city, especially concentrated around our bay. We have DeFasco and Stelco. The city was kind of built up around these factories when it was booming in the 70s. Anyways, we'll kind of want to probably avoid these areas because not only is it very industrial with factories, and even some of the neighborhoods, they're going to have really industrial things peppered throughout the neighborhoods. Not only that, there is some issues with crime, homeless encampments and stuff like that. So if you are moving with your family, maybe some of these houses look really, really good, too good to be true, but you might be in those little pockets. But as with anything, I think there's so much more to Hamilton than just that. All of that is concentrated kind of, around here. So, all the kind of industrial stuff and really kind of sketchy stuff, for lack of a better word, is concentrated a lot over here and, peppered throughout downtown and stuff like that. But closer you get to the escarpment, which is right here, you're going to find beautiful old mature neighborhoods, century homes. And then you go up the mountain, which is this whole area down here. And that is really kind of like a different city because the mountain, the escarpment cuts through Hamilton, upper and lower. So upper Hamilton, you don't see a lot of that stuff at all. But with that, it's a very residential grid-like neighborhood. You kind of got to get in your car to get around, although public transit isn't too bad. I think I'm rambling now. And if we zoom out even further, most people don't know, this is Hamilton. Now, this is all Hamilton right here. Lots of little towns. So, there you can find just about anything in Hamilton. We got lots of nature, waterfall capital of the world. And believe it or not, Hamilton is almost double the size of Toronto because in 2001, we amalgamated all these other little tertiary towns into our... Oh, so that being said, maybe you were out there. Maybe you're looking at moving to the area, the GTA, right? Well, there's so much you need to know, and we're trying to give out all the info as much as possible. So if you are thinking about making the move and you got some questions, do not hesitate. We love getting calls from the people thinking about making a move, and we love helping out. So I am the People's Realtor. It is my goal to serve the fine people of the GTA and beyond reach their goals. So if that's you, don't hesitate to give me a call. I would love to chat. Thanks for watching. Go Blue Jays, and we'll see you in the next one. Also, like and subscribe.